Start with a realistic, intense scene showing someone tolerating one of Jung's unacceptable behaviors, then hint at the psychological destruction it causes. Use dialogue and vivid description. Follow immediately with a deep emotional truth. If you keep tolerating this, you're not being kind. You're slowly erasing yourself. Make the viewer feel seen. Make the video personal. These behaviors don't just make life harder. They destroy your soul, your identity, your relationships. For each of Jung's 7 behaviors, build a scene around it. E.g., a friend constantly undermining you. Show the slow collapse of confidence. Realism is key. Speak as if you're talking directly to the viewer. You've been there. You smiled, nodded, but deep down, you felt smaller every time. Include internal monologues and psychological dilemmas. Was I being too sensitive, or were they really crossing the line? Use specific sensations to make scenes immersive. Her words hit me like cold water, shocking, sharp, and unwelcome. After every scene, offer a moment of reflection or empowerment. That day, I decided no more quiet suffering. Use real Carl Jung quotes that punch emotionally. Don't paraphrase. Let his words bring depth. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. After each story, explain the shadow behavior or ego pattern behind it. This adds value and meaning. This is what Jung called the shadow, the parts we suppress that leak out destructively. Speak with firm, compassionate authority. You don't need to tolerate this anymore. Jung didn't, and neither should you. Alternate quiet reflection and dramatic tension. Use silence, inner thoughts, and emotional spikes to keep pacing dynamic. Each scene should have a moment of shift, a decision, realization, confrontation, or escape. End each section with a grounded step the viewer can take. Start by naming the behavior, then choose one boundary. That's how healing begins. End the video by returning to the opening scene, but now with growth. Back then, I stayed silent. Today, I speak with clarity and peace. The office smelled like burnt coffee and cheap ambition. Emily sat at her desk, eyes flicking between the screen, and her manager pacing in circles. His voice sliced with the stale air, sarcastic, controlling, laced with mock praise. "You really thought this was acceptable?" he said, holding her report like it was soaked in sewage. Emily clenched her jaw. This was the 3rd time this week. Same tone, same humiliation. And still, she said nothing. Not because she agreed, but because she didn't know how to push back without unraveling. That's how it begins. One unacceptable behavior tolerated, then another, until your silence becomes your signature. Carl Jung once warned us, tolerating the intolerable doesn't make you strong. It makes you disappear. And when you disappear long enough, you forget you ever existed. This video isn't a list. It's a mirror. Each behavior you tolerate shapes the story you live. But there's a way to reclaim it. And it starts here. You felt it. That sharp, invisible shift when someone crosses a line. But instead of standing firm, you smile. You nod. You even thank them. Why? Because we're taught that kindness means endurance, and that love means patience. But Jung would call that a betrayal of the self. When someone repeatedly belittles your boundaries, mocks your goals, or drains your energy, and you tolerate it, you're not being noble. You're being erased. Behavior number 1, emotional disrespect masked as just joking. Picture this. Your partner says something at dinner. You know Sarah's way more ambitious than you, right? It gets a laugh from the group, but inside, something drops. You look at him. He shrugs. Relax, it's a joke. But your gut doesn't laugh. It twists. That's the moment. That's where your soul whispers, speak. But instead, you swallow it. Jung warned that the unconscious absorbs what the ego suppresses. In plain terms, every boundary you ignore becomes a shadow you'll later project as anxiety, resentment, or rage. So, what do you do if you're here? First, don't explain away the behavior. Don't spiritualize it. Don't justify it. Call it what it is. Emotional poison. Second, respond without laughing. That joke didn't land for me. Let the silence teach them. Third, watch their reaction. If they get defensive, it wasn't a joke. It was a jab. Jung believed that self-respect isn't loud. It's consistent. When your soul speaks, don't mute it. That's where healing begins. Let me take you into a bedroom. Late night, quiet hum of a fan. Megan lies next to her boyfriend, scrolling through her phone. He looks over, voice flat. You still talking to your therapist? She nods. You don't need that. Just talk to me, he says. Sounds caring, right? But there's something under it. Control wrapped in concern. Slowly, over weeks, she cancels sessions. Then friendships. Then her weekly walks. He says it's because he misses her. But what he really misses is full control. Behavior 2, isolation disguised as affection. Jung warned of enmeshment, the dangerous fusion of identities where you forget where you end and the other begins. In this state, you're not loved for who you are. You're used for what you provide. Attention, loyalty, obedience. So what do you do if this is your reality? First, name it. Say the sentence out loud. I'm shrinking to keep someone else comfortable. Second, reclaim rituals of autonomy. Therapy, friends, solo time. These aren't luxuries. They're lifelines. Third, test the reaction. Healthy love celebrates your independence. Toxic love punishes it. Jung said, the greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents. Don't let it become yours. Don't tolerate a love that erases you. Imagine this. You're in a group chat. Your ideas barely get a response. But when Mark says the same thing, suddenly it's brilliant. You laugh it off. Again and again. But slowly you stop speaking. That's behavior 3. Invisibility through subtle dismissal. Carl Jung believed that the psyche withers under constant invalidation. And when others erase your voice enough times, you start pre-erasing it yourself. Think back. How many rooms have you walked into already feeling small? That's not humility. That's trauma. Here's what you do. First, notice the pattern. Who always talks over you? Who never acknowledges your contributions? That's your map. Second, interrupt the erasure. Actually, I said that earlier too, and I'd love to expand on it. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but discomfort is the price of self-respect. Third, remember Jung's insight. The self craves expression, not recognition. Speak your truth, even if it shakes. The ones who truly see you will lean in. The rest were just using you as background noise. Here's a different scene. You're in your childhood home. Your mother asks how work is. You say it's been stressful. She sighs, you think you have it bad? When I was your age, I had 2 jobs and a newborn. You go quiet. Again, that's behavior 4. Emotional one-upping disguised as wisdom. Carl Jung called this the inflation of the ego, when someone elevates their suffering to invalidate yours. It's not love. It's a power game. Because when your pain isn't allowed to breathe, it becomes shame. And shame buried alive grows into self-loathing. So what do? First, don't argue. That only feeds their ego. Instead, say, I'm sharing this to be heard, not compared. Second, set time limits. Conversations with emotional one-uppers should have an exit strategy. Third, journal what you couldn't say. Jung believed that what you fail to process consciously will erupt unconsciously. Don't let someone else's unhealed story become the script of your silence. Your experience matters, even if no one claps for it. Let's go darker. You're in a relationship. They mess up, lie, gaslight, cry, apologize. You forgive, again. But the cycle repeats. Remorse followed by manipulation. That's behavior 5. Accountability dodging through dramatics. Jung believed in the integration of shadow, the idea that maturity comes when we own our darkest impulses. But manipulators externalize everything. Nothing is ever their fault. They weaponize emotion to escape reflection. Here's the plan. First, define the pattern. Write it out, date by date. The mind forgets. The soul doesn't. Second, hold one boundary and one consequence. If this happens again, I'll leave. And then mean it. Third, don't mistake chaos for passion. Jung said, where love rules, there is no will to power. If you're constantly in repair mode, it's not love. It's survival. and you deserve more than survival. Scene change. It's 7 a.m. You wake up to a paragraph-long message from a friend listing everything you did wrong yesterday. Tone, timing, forgetfulness. You apologize. Again, you go to lunch. Order what they like. You laugh when they do. By evening, you're exhausted. That's behavior 6. Control masked as emotional sensitivity. Jung warned about projection, where people see their unresolved wounds in you and punish you for them. Hypersensitive controllers don't want connection. They want control without confrontation. So what do? First, recognize the guilt trap. Just because someone feels hurt doesn't mean you did something wrong. Second, ask this: would I treat someone the way they treat me? If not, you're in an emotional chokehold. Third, detach with love. Don't explain. Don't perform. Just step back. Jung said the only way to heal projection is through conscious awareness. Let them meet their wounds on their own timeline. You're not their therapist. You're not their mirror. You're not their puppet. Let's zoom in. You're sitting across from a mentor. You share your dreams. Their smile freezes. That's ambitious, they say. Then comes a subtle shade. Most people don't make it in that field, but sure, give a shot. You walk out questioning everything. That's behavior 7. Discouragement masked as realism. Jung believed that fear projected outward kills the dreamer within. Some people can't handle your expansion, so they plant seeds of doubt and call it practical advice. Here's how to break free. First, check their track record. Have they ever built what you want? If not, their opinion is just disguised insecurity. Second, surround yourself with expanders, people who hear your wildest goal and say, "Why not you?" Third, don't share dreams with people who mock their own. Jung said the future is created by the unconscious pulling us toward individuation. Translation: your dreams aren't random. They're revelations. Protect them like sacred fire. Now we come to the mirror moment. Behavior 8. Self-erasure to maintain peace. This one hurts the most because it's not what they do to you. It's what you do to yourself. Saying yes when your whole body screams no. Smiling through disrespect. Apologizing for existing too loudly. Jung warned that the shadow of the nice person is deep rage. Rage at a world that rewards silence. Rage at a self that made silence the default. So what do you do if you've spent years this way? First, pause the performance. Let one no be loud. Let one truth be messy. Let one boundary be final. Second, grieve the lost years, but don't stay in the grief. You were doing what you thought kept you safe. Now you know better. Third, reclaim your edges. Wear color. Speak boldly. Take up space. Jung believed that individuation, the full becoming of the self, requires breaking the mask. Your peace will cost people their comfort. That's okay. Let it, because the more you tolerate the unacceptable, the further you drift from your essence. And you, exactly as you are, unfiltered, imperfect, real, that is the self the world needs you're driving. Rain taps the windshield. You're alone, yet your thoughts aren't. They're replaying a conversation from 3 days ago. A small thing someone said. A glance. A joke. But it gnaws at you. You can't let it go. That's behavior 9. The chronic overanalysis of other people's opinions. Jung believed this stems from a fractured ego, one that relies on external validation to feel real. This isn't just overthinking. It's self-surveillance. You start policing your own personality, laughing quieter, thinking longer before speaking, dressing to avoid judgment instead of to express joy. It's like walking through life with a mirror strapped to your face. And so what do you do when your brain won't shut off the loop? First, interrupt the trance. Say out loud, their opinion is not my identity. Second, journal the worst-case scenario. What if they did judge you? Would it kill you or just bruise an old wound? Jung said we're often haunted not by what happened, but by what it meant to us as children. Third, reclaim your projection. When you fear their judgment, it's often your own inner critic speaking through them. Don't let your fears wear someone else's face. Free yourself from the prison of perception. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to become you. Now picture this. You're at dinner with friends. Someone starts gossiping. Did you hear what Amy did? Total disaster. Everyone laughs. You don't. You know how it feels to be talked about. But you also don't want to be the buzzkill. So you smile. You nod. You stay silent. That's behavior 10. The quiet endorsement of cruelty through inaction. Carl Jung warned us that when we abandon our moral compass to avoid tension, we invite inner fragmentation. In simple terms, every time you stay quiet in the face of cruelty, you chip away at your own integrity. So, what do you do when it feels easier to stay silent? Check your gut. If something twists inside you, speak. You don't need a lecture, just a line. That doesn't sit right with me. Let the room shift. Second, watch who gets uncomfortable. People who thrive on cruelty will always label kindness as weakness. Third, create a new culture. Make your presence a space where others feel safe, not scrutinized. Jung believed the soul thrives in truth. Silence may protect your comfort, but it costs your character. And in the end, only one of those is worth living for. You're in your 20s, or 30s, or older. Doesn't matter, but you feel behind. Everyone on social media is thriving. Marriages, businesses, babies, adventures. You're just surviving. So you start rushing, saying yes to jobs, people, plans that don't align, just to keep up. That's behavior 11. Urgency driven by comparison. Jung said that comparison is a function of the ego, not the self. Your self doesn't care about timelines. It cares about truth. So what do you do when you feel behind? First, delete the damn app. Seriously, social media is a highlight reel curated to trigger your deepest insecurities. Second, list what you survived. That's your real timeline. Not what you built, but what you endured. Third, practice sacred slowness. Jung wrote that the soul evolves in spirals, not straight lines. You're not late. You're arriving. And when you finally show up as yourself, not your imitation of someone else's life, everything will unfold in divine timing. Don't tolerate a life of rushing. You weren't born to chase. You were born to be. It's your birthday. You expect a text, a call, something. But silence. Again, it's been like this for years. You're always the one who remembers, reaches out, gives more. But when it's your turn, crickets. That's behavior 12. The chronic toleration of one-sided relationships. Jung believed that reciprocity is essential to individuation, the process of becoming whole. Relationships aren't math problems, but they do require balance. One person giving endlessly while the other takes freely isn't love. It's emotional labor disguised as loyalty. So, what do you do when you're tired of being the giver? First, stop. Let the silence echo. Don't text first. Don't chase. See who shows up. Second, grieve the truth. Some people love you best when you're useful, not when you're visible. That's not your failure. That's their limit. Third, invest in alignment, not obligation. Find those who match your energy, not your history. Jung said the most terrifying thing is to accept yourself completely. But once you do, you stop settling for crumbs. You don't have to tolerate half-love. Full love is rare, but it's real, and it's worth the wait. You're at work. Your boss emails you at midnight. Again, the message is urgent, passive-aggressive, and expects an instant reply. You feel the panic rise. You weren't planning to respond, but you do. Why? Because you've tolerated the idea that your worth is tied to your productivity. That's behavior 13. Glorifying burnout is dedication. Jung warned that when we sacrifice rest for achievement, we're not building success. We're building collapse. The psyche needs recovery. And yet, we wear exhaustion like a badge. So, what do you do when hustle culture has you by the throat? First, set digital boundaries. I don't respond to emails after 7 p.m. Simple, firm, final. Second, examine your addiction. Are you working or are you avoiding? Some of us drown in tasks, so we don't have to feel. Third, redefine value. Jung believed that the soul whispers in stillness. You can't hear yourself when you're sprinting. Burnout isn't noble. It's a red flag. And rest isn't laziness. It's rebellion. Rebel. Let's go internal now. You're scrolling, eating, overplanning, obsessing. daydreaming about a life you never take action on. Why? Because deep down, you don't believe you're worthy of it. That's behavior 14, self-sabotage disguised as not ready. Jung believed that unworthiness is the most dangerous archetype. It convinces you to shrink before anyone else even asks you to. So what do you do when you keep tripping over your own feet? First, catch the excuse. I'm not ready is often code for I'm afraid they'll see the real me and reject it. Say it out loud. Second, take one terrifying step. Not 10, just one. Send email, apply, post, speak. Jung said that what we avoid holds a key to our becoming. Third, celebrate rebellion. Every step you take toward your dream is an act of defiance against every voice that ever told you you're too much or not enough. You're not broken. You're becoming. And your fear isn't a stop sign, it's a threshold. Finally, behavior 15. The most dangerous of all, tolerating a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels empty inside. You've got the job, the partner, the apartment, but every morning you feel like a ghost. Jung warned of the spiritless man, the person who has traded authenticity for acceptance. You perform, you provide, you pretend, but inside you're numb. So what do you do when your whole life feels like someone else's story? First, get radically honest. What do you want? Not what's expected, not what's safe. What do you crave at your core? Second, break one script. Say the thing you've never said. Quit the thing that drains you. Try the thing that scares you. Third, remember Jung's core teaching. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You weren't born to keep the peace. You were born to stir the soul. And if your life doesn't ignite you, change it. Don't tolerate a life that fits but doesn't fulfill. Rip off the mask. Step into your skin. And begin again.